As I mentioned in the previous video, the label object shares a lot of properties with the button object. In a way, you could visualize this as a text button. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new label object by clicking on the A in the icon bar and selecting OK. Now we've got a label object on our canvas and we can take a look at the properties. In the properties pane here, we've got a name and text field, just like for the button object. So I'm going to put in the name field here, email, and in the text area here, I'm going to type email us. But we're going to take a look at this additional option here. The button object didn't have this. You notice in the text area there's a little ellipsis button, and if we click on that, it brings up this edit text dialog. Here we can save our text as a text file, load text from a text file, print our text, or spell check our text. Additionally, you can create multi-line labels by simply doing that in here. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and switch our text back for this object to say email us. Okay, so the next area here is the font area. This is the same as for the button object, and any object that has a font option available for it, you'll find that the options are identical. Okay, so let's go ahead and increase the size of our font slightly, like that, and we'll actually choose a new font. Let's choose Arial Black, and we'll set it to be italic. Okay, and we're just doing this for fun, but basically to demonstrate how this is done. Additionally, you'll notice that the text is really nice and smooth now with the anti-aliasing that's been added. Okay, so let's jump right ahead. You'll notice that you have the same left, right, center alignment function as you did for the button. So that's to align your text within the caption or within the object. Additionally, we have this nifty little feature here that's not available for the button object, and it is the orientation feature. So I'm going to move my label object into the center of the canvas here, and from the pull-down menu I'm going to select 90. This is going to apply a 90-degree rotation to our label object. This is really handy for certain stylish type of applications. You might want to put little labels along the side of your page, for example, like this, and perhaps you have a photo over here on the other side and a little decorative bar here or something. But basically there's a lot of applications where this is going to come in really handy, and this is a new feature of 5.0. So let's go and try a couple others out. As you can see, you can turn it 180, and that's a 180-degree rotation, or 270, that's a 270-degree rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back at 0, and we'll go ahead and check out some of the other properties here. But I encourage you guys to fool around with that and see how it applies to your projects. Okay, we've got the same set of options for the state colors for the font here. So for example, if we set our highlight color to red and our click color to blue, when we preview our project, we press F5 to do that, you'll see that these colors are now present on our label. So you can treat it like a button object if you like. It's really nice, very handy to have that feature built right into the properties pane here. Saves a lot of time. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and set these back to black here. Okay, so the next area we have here is the attributes area, and you'll notice that this is identical to the button object pretty much, where you've got the sounds, the cursor, the tooltip, and so forth. So let's go ahead in the tooltip area and type email us, and we will set our cursor to be a hand cursor, which is our normal one. Again, you won't be able to see my custom cursors during these video tutorials because of the video capture system that we use, but if you go ahead and fool around with it, it'll quickly become evident to you what it does and how to use it, and you can select from the wide range of alternate cursors that we have ready for you here in this drop-down menu. And additionally, if you're an intrepid user, you can create your own cursors and add them to the product yourself. Okay, we've got the sound areas here. These work exactly like with a button object. In this case, when it applied it, it didn't apply a default sound, but we could have set it to standard sounds or custom sound here, and if we were setting it to custom sound, we could again click on this ellipsis and surf through and pick one of the sounds that we have on our hard drive or in our gallery, and we're going to set that back to none. And additionally, we've got the same features here for the enabled and visible function. So for example, if we set the enabled to false, you'll see it switches to the disabled text color, and if we were to preview it, it wouldn't work anymore as a button, and we would have to enable it using an action. Okay, so that's same as a button object. So let's set that back to true. The visibility, exact same as a button object. You can set your object to be visible or invisible by default, just using this true or false pull down. we've got the same features for the position and size as well as the button object here, right? So the same thing we did with the button object, where we were able to adjust the position numerically here, and we were also able to adjust the size of the object numerically here. We can do here with the label object. And as you can see, it's a very handy feature that allows you to really exploit this object really quickly. For example, if you had certain objects that were along a certain line, you could quickly align it to that line simply by typing in that into the x-axis here, or the left field. And additionally, if we wanted to match the size, for example, really quickly from this object to one other object, and we knew the other object was, for example, say 100 pixels wide, we could just type it in here and boom, we're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to, there we go. Oh yeah, that's worth mentioning too. If you're constraining you're keeping your aspect ratio here with your text, what's going to happen is that it's going to snap your width and height to the available text size. So for example, if I type in a width of 100, that width is not available because actually to keep the aspect ratio it had to adjust that to 98. So that's worth bearing in mind. You might have to go by eye sometimes simply by dragging the corner, or you might have to disengage that feature, the keep aspect feature. But I like to keep that on for my label objects. Okay, so let's go on to the actions area. This acts the same way as it does for a button object. In other words, we can attach actions to this label for the on-click state, the on-enter state, and the on-leave state. And those are the mouse states, the very same as the button object. So for example, on-click is when the user clicks this object. On-enter is when they roll their mouse onto it, and on-leave is when they roll their mouse out of it. Okay, so those are the label properties, and actually we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the properties dialog before we go here, and you'll notice that much like the button object, it has the couple additional features in the properties dialog that you don't get in the properties pane. For example, matching the normal color here, and so for example, if we had some different colors here and we wanted to quickly match these to the normal color, we could just click that button. It's very, very handy. And in addition, we've got the spell checker, and in the attributes area, the spell checker for the tooltip. So those are some of the differences between the properties pane and the properties dialog for this object, and that's pretty well it for the label object properties. So we'll go ahead and move on now to the label object actions.